Highway 126 is now reopened, but it won't look like you recall it. KEZI 9 News reporter Emma Jerome drove through the wreckage today and shares with us what she saw and the story of a community trying to rebuild.
The last time we were here by this Smokey Bear sign in Walterville, the air was unhealthy to breathe. The fire danger level was extreme, as you can see today. Smokey says it's low. Another difference was you could not even see the hills that great. Smoke was just clouding them. Now they're visible. The last time I was here, you could look directly into the sun because of how thick the smoke was. That's not the case today. So much has changed. From Eugene and Springfield through Blue River and beyond, Highway 126 is now reopened. The town of Blue River was reported to be destroyed, something we are able to confirm today.
I don't know that it could be any worse than this, but it'll never be the same.
Barbara EMANUEL was working at the Holiday Farm where the fire got its name when it started.
It was just so fast.
And just like that, it was all gone.
This was something that to live to tell the tale is a good thing.
After traveling east beyond Blue River, we headed back to Eugene. We've made it to the small town of Nimrod, headed west on Highway 126 back towards Springfield. And as you can see by this fire activity ahead sign, it just goes to show that this highway is not only dangerous going one direction. And if you look across the highway, there's a 45-mile-per-hour sign that's just been knocked over. ODOT actually reports that hundreds of signs have been damaged or destroyed, needing to be replaced. ODOT is asking that use of Highway 126 be limited to residents, first responders, and recovery personnel. Reporting from the Mackenzie River, Emma Jerome, KEZI 9 News.
While not saving lives, food delivery services are being called on to help make life easier for people stuck at home. KEZI 9 News reporter Jillian Smuckler spent the day with some of those unsung heroes to see how they're holding up more than a month after the executive order was put in place.
A lot of people that I've talked to, it's kind of a balance between not wanting to cook and also wanting to support businesses.
While some restaurants have closed during this pandemic, others have turned to delivery as a lifeline. Beer Garden on 6th Avenue is one of many restaurants offering delivery to people within 5 miles. Employee Sarah Dunn says they've been able to serve a lot of hungry people in need, which encourages them to keep going.
It gives me a sense of pride, you know, like obviously we're not nurses here, but we're still taking care of people's needs in the way that we can. So, you know, I feel really good about it and I'm really happy to be able to work.
Restaurants aren't the only ones feeding families during the crisis.
I've been following around a Grubhub driver for hours now, and he's been absolutely slammed with orders. He says with so many people needing to feed their families, plus regular drivers taking a hiatus, he's making double what he normally would, and he's helping many people along the way.
Chris, with Grubhub, I get to go around and spread reassurance. I'm an extremely optimistic, happy, bubbly person. And so not only am I bringing them their food, but I get to tell them, say, hey, things are going to get good.
Chris Dotson says delivering food is more than a job.
When I walk up to someone's porch, I'm allowing them to stay home and be safe. And it makes me feel good that I'm protecting somebody, whether it's elderly, whether it's single moms with kids or whatever it is. My job is not only helping them, but I'm getting to protect them. And that's it's the best.
He says the demand for food delivery services is bigger than he's ever seen.
Under normal conditions, I get about 5 every 2 hours, so 2 to 3 an hour. But now what's happening, it is nonstop. It is not, I'll get them before I get to the next one.
He says he's thankful to be working during this pandemic, despite the amount of drivers currently willing to work.
I don't think we have enough drivers right now to deliver everything. So they're saying, hey, well, hey, since you're going to go to KFC, hit Taco Bell while you're there. They're doubling, tripling up our orders because there's just not enough people.
He tells me people are more appreciative than ever, and he's thrilled to be able to help those in need.
We're all doing everything we can to help our own community, and we do appreciate the thanks. I don't do it for the thanks, but we all appreciate it.
Reporting in Eugene, Jillian Smuckler, KEZI 9 News.
Live, local, late breaking. This is KEZI 9 News at 6 with Matt Templeman, Renee McCullough, and Chief Meteorologist Marissa Walzen.
It's a parent's worst nightmare, an early morning call or a knock on the door to inform you your child's been in a wreck. Early Saturday morning, a Sweet Home father got the call all 3 of his children had been in a wreck caused by an alleged drunk driver. Right now, he's by the side of his youngest daughter, Kylie Ann, who survived.
And my kids, I mean, anybody that's watching that knows my kids, they never did anything alone. They were always together.
And that Saturday morning, they were returning from seeing their mother, Amy, a vet in Brownsville, where they had taken their injured dog, Darby. But they never made it home, and Jim got the call from Amy.
And she just said, "Jim, it's really, really bad. It's really bad."
He went numb and went to the scene. 19-year-old Caleb Frank had died. 16-year-old Shelby Rose and 15-year-old Kylie Ann were rushed to Riverbend. Soon, Jim was told Shelby didn't make it, and he needed to tell Kylie.
I just grabbed her hand and told her that Caleb Frank and Shelby Rose had both died. And she said, "Daddy, I want to cry, but I can't move my chest." And she said, "But we told each other we loved each other." And we just kept telling each other we loved each other.
Jim says his farm kids and working with animals, they're no strangers to death, but they're not all lovey-dovey.
They were each other's best friends, but they also thought each other was gross, you know. I mean, you know, they weren't that way, you know, but they, I believe, you know, knew what was happening.
For various reasons, Jim says Caleb saved Kylie's life. He says that was Caleb, sensitive and quiet, always watching out for and supporting his sisters.
Caleb would be 20 years old on the 9th of June. And even at that age, there was never a show that they went to. There was never going to the feed store that they went to. But Caleb Frank wasn't there, and he was never asked. He just was there.
Shelby Rose was all about animals. And Jim says since she was just 12, she was considered the family matriarch.
She just was. She was the one that bound our family. She was a peacemaker. She just never got hot.
The youngest, Kylie Ann, headstrong.
And out of all three kids, that I think if one can survive this, it's her. Because she's stronger than everybody else.
He says the three of them were his dream. Jim says he never grew up saying he wanted to be a firefighter or a police officer. His story was he always wanted to be a dad, and in recent years found himself telling the children that story more and more.
I've told my kids at least 100 times the story of me only wanting to be a dad, and I've thanked them straight outright for letting me be their dad.
He says they would call him old and sappy, but he called them his dream.
I achieved that.
I'm a father of three. I try to get it. At this time, there is no plan for a memorial service, and that will wait until Kylie's out of the hospital. There is a GoFundMe page to help the family if you'd like, and Jim wants to be very, very clear. He is incredibly grateful for the help and the support received, and for the FFA family for wrapping its arms around his family.